What's up, everybody, and welcome to the very first episode of Cork and Curated. On this series, we will be tasting, sampling, learning about, and navigating our way through the world of all different types of wine and spirits, in hopes of discovering some new faves, becoming reacquainted with some old ones, and curating a fun and informative experience. My name is Nova, and I'll be your spirits guide along this journey, and I can't wait to share it all with you. This is something that I've been doing on my own for some time, so I figure why not bring it to the world so that we can do it together. All right, so you're probably wondering who I am, why I'm doing this, and how I got here. As mentioned previously, my name is Nova. I'm a Brooklyn native, born and raised. I'm a Libra. I'm a cat mom. I love fashion, fitness, music, travel, my family and friends. And I'm hoping that we can incorporate a little bit of all of that into the show. Being from New York means being a part of a very avid social scene. We be drinking. If you think about all the events that you've probably gone to, open bar or otherwise, I started to realize that a lot of people don't even know what they're drinking. But also, let me preface this by saying that in no way am I attempting to encourage or promote any irresponsible drinking. But just like any other food, beverage, or dessert, if done correctly and in moderation, you can certainly live a little and enjoy a good cocktail. So anyway, being on the scene, out and about, I noticed that people don't know what to drink. Like, how many times have you gone out to a restaurant and ordered a drink? For me, I'm partial to ordering a margarita. And when the waiter asks what type of tequila you want, you're just like, I don't freaking know. And I figured, no, I don't want to not know. So what can I do to gain some more knowledge and enhance my drinks? Let's take it way back to when I first became curious about wine and spirits. This was way back when I was an intern in college. I went to Brooklyn College and I majored in media communications. So I got invited to go along to a shoot. So the shoot was near West 4th. And if you're familiar with the area, it's eclectic, a little grungy, pulled up, industrial building, industrial elevator. But when we got into the space, I was just floored. It was a beautiful loft space, exposed brick, floor-to-ceiling windows. But the main thing that stood out to me was the glassware and the wine fridges. I mean, there were like 3 or 4 of them. And I'm just like, who all lives here, you know? So they'd rent out the space to conduct the interview. And I was just so curious. I'm like, I wonder if the people that own it are here, and they were. And it happened to be a couple. And the woman of the couple, she was a woman of color. And she let me know that she was a sommelier. So I was just like, wow, that's so dope. I don't even know if I'd ever heard of that term before. But yeah, we spoke a little bit. You know, obviously I was there to work, and then I was just like, I gotta do some research because this is real fly. Like, you compare wines and all of that. So that was, I think, the first moment that I really became interested, and it opened up my mind to the possibilities. And I mean, I wasn't about to change my major or nothing, but I was just like, how fly would it be if I knew how to pair wine with food, or if, you know, I threw a party, I knew how to do it. So I want to say from then on, just passively, like if I'd pass by a liquor store and they were doing a wine tasting, which happens a lot in New York, I'd just stop in, and if I liked what I was drinking, I would just take a picture of the bottle. And that's kind of just literally how it started, passively. Purchase some literature, and then I want to say maybe after some time, I would go to wine tastings with my friends. And the very first one I actually went to was at BK Winery in Williamsburg, so shout out to them. They make their wine on premise. And yeah, that was just like the very first experience I had with an official like wine tour and tasting. They have a really good stainless steel Chardonnay. That's what I remember too. So yeah. So anyway, so that was just like how I started it. And from then on, like I said, just going to wineries, going on wine tours with my friends, just trying to adapt my palate and figure out what it is that I like. And this has been for some years now. And I feel like I kind of know what I'm talking about a bit, but why not really just make it official and, you know, go on this journey and learn a bit more about what I'm drinking and really solidify it. All right, bet. So this is how we're going to do this. Each episode, we're going to be featuring a different wine or spirit. I'll basically do some research, share what I learned about the brand, and then we'll get into the tastings. Maybe on certain episodes, I'll even bring in some friends because it ain't no fun if the homies can't have none. It'll be brands that I love, brands I've never had before, and ultimately brands that you all suggest that we feature. So it's going to be a very interactive experience. So without further ado, let's get into it and start the series off strongly with one of my favorite champagnes, Bollinger Special Cuvee. And here are some things that I've learned about the brand thus far. The most notable being that Bollinger is featured in almost every James Bond movie since Live and Let Die, and even in all 14 novels, first being Diamonds Are Forever. So that just goes to show that my taste is exquisite, because I didn't even know that. Bollinger is also one of the first few remaining independent champagne houses, so still family owned and operated, and it was founded by a former member of French aristocracy. Please excuse me if I butcher some names. A lot of these brands are from different countries, so please excuse me. I beg your pardon if I butcher some of these names. So the member of French aristocracy's name was Athanase Louis Emmanuel Hennequin, Count of Villermont. Okay, and he was born in Champagne, France in 1763. He inherited this estate in Champagne from his sister. And what happened was he recognized the success that he could get from champagne production, but as a member of the French aristocracy, he was forbidden by law from engaging in any commercial activity. So a conflict of interest, because he was a member of French aristocracy. So he said, let me find a loophole in this. And what he did was he introduced himself to Paul Renardin, who is a Champagne native and a wine enthusiast who worked with another champagne house, along with his friend Joseph Bollinger. And he's a member of German nobility, and he was a wine merchant. So he was like, let me get the friends so we could make something happen with this. So in February 1829, the company, it was actually not just Bollinger, it was Renardin, Bollinger, and Sier, it was founded with Bollinger in charge of the sales, Renardin responsible for the cellar, and Bollinger soon became the house's primary figurehead. So basically, it was family owned and operated for all these years. And in 1899, the son of Jacques Joseph Bollinger, so they have the same names, y'all, he took over and he received a royal warrant to expand this, you know what I mean? So the point was to expand the brand. George's son Jacques also took over and married Lily Elizabeth. And then eventually it was Lily who ultimately expanded the brand. So she was in charge of purchasing new facilities and took over fully in 1941 when her husband died. So women at it again, y'all. Then I want to say in World War II, to protect the winery against German Nazis, because there was a war happening. Aunt Lily is what they called her. That's what she did. So she managed it until 1971. So she protected the winery against German Nazis by bribing them a little bit, tossing them a few bottles so that she could keep things in check. And she also continued to vinify the wine oak in barrels to keep the tradition. So maybe other wine houses might have decided to go another route against stainless steel. She decided to just continue with the oak barrels, just to keep it official. She even sold cuvées that she developed on her own. So in 1967, Bollinger RD, and she even traveled to the USA in 1951 to market the brand. I mean, it's so interesting. It's so cool about the James Bond fact, which speaks a lot to my palate because I didn't even know that. Which just shows I like the best of the best, and they have the best of the best vineyards, the best crus. Basically 85% of their grapes are made in Grand and Premier crus, which is just basically like they have elite land that they use, official land. That's what that means. And they also have 2 plots in France that have never succumbed to, Phylloxera, which is an insect native to North America. Basically what happens is it attaches to the vines and kills the wine grapes. So they actually, and that has happened to so many wineries in their plots, but they have 2 original ones that this has never happened to. So they are super elite. As of recent, in 2012, Bollinger was the first wine house in France whose vineyards were certified as high environmental value. And 2 years later, it was also the first to receive the Sustainable Viticulture in Champagne certification. Most of their grapes are made up of Pinot Noir, so Pinot Noir is the backbone of their champagne, and 60% of the vineyards make up the brand. So for this specific cuvee, they have 9 different cuvées, so this is just one of them, 1 out of 9. Georges Bollinger christened it Special Cuvee, as he found the expression non-vintage brut, it didn't befit a champagne of such subtlety. So basically, vintage is how long it ages. This one ages out quickly. So they didn't want it to just be like, oh, non-vintage. He said this is our special cuvee, which is like our house wine here. This brand is also cellar aged for twice as long as required by Appellation standards. Yeah, it has a golden color. So that's what I learned about the brand. I thought it was so cool to just see the fact that it was one of my faves before I even knew it was elite. And the way that I even found out about this champagne, like I said, just living life. I was working at a tech startup and they were having an event, and you know they got it, working in the tech industry. And this was one of the champagnes that they had, and I loved it. Went down smooth. I see I'm now partial to Brutes, which we'll learn about at another date. But yeah, this was it for me. It became a fave really quickly, really enjoy it. And one thing I might add, this is a champagne. All champagnes are sparkling wines, but not all sparkling wines are champagnes. What constitutes this being a champagne is that it was made in Champagne, France. So, I mean, that's literally it. Like, if it was made in Champagne, France, that's what makes it a champagne. So not to say that there aren't other sparkling wines that are really good, but this is kind of like the golden stamp for it to be a champagne. Now on to the fun part. Okay, our reward for all of our research that we've done, we are going to taste it. Look at this beautiful golden color here. Really excited. I haven't had it in a little while. So cheers. Love it. It doesn't have no weird aftertaste of, you know, I don't get that. It's very smooth. It's refreshing, smooth. Something to enjoy on a nice hot summer day, chilled. Again, like I said, they have 9 cuvées in total, so there are different ones. If you check out Bollinger.com, I think it's champagnebollinger.com. And the price point for this specific one, I'm gonna hold you, $65 to $100. So depending on where you get it from. $65 on the low end, but this can run you up to $100. But it's so worth it. It's so delicious. It's so refreshing. It's so fancy. James Bond loved it. So why not? Every now and again, treat yourself to something nice. All right, y'all. So that'll do it for this episode of Cork and Curated. Thank you so much for tuning in with me. I hope you enjoyed learning about Bollinger. Leave some comments. Let us know how you feel. If you've tried Bollinger or the other cuvées before, let us know. Remember to drink responsibly. Also remember to click that like, comment, subscribe button. That like and subscribe button. But hope to see you all soon. Cheers.